Hey y'all, I'm Carolina Tony, and I am in Cave City, Kentucky, and have I got a treat for you. Several months ago, I did a video in Kentucky of the Hatfields and McCoys. Well, I'm back, and today I'm gonna actually get to meet a real Hatfield. He's got the Hatfield McCoy Museum, and he is gonna give us a personal one-on-one tour. You get to come with me. But right after this station, identification.
Family of all times, the Hatfields and McCoys. The leader of the Hatfield clan, Devil Ance, is my great-great-great-uncle. And this is where our story begins.
They were men who matched mountains.
To write an entire album of songs on the Feud. I asked him how my uncle, William Anderson Hatfield, got his nickname, Devil Ance.
One, they said when he was a kid, he was devilish. You know, like to carry on and play pretty rough at times. Then others say that during the Civil War, he had a nickname. They nicknamed him Devil Ance because he was a pretty tough character.
Levici were busy raising 13 children. Life was good. Until one day in the fall of 1878, Randolph McCoy, who lived on the Kentucky side of the Tug Fork River, accused Floyd Hatfield, Devil Ance's cousin, of stealing some of his hogs. The case went to trial, and a jury of 6 Hatfields and 6 McCoys found Floyd Hatfield innocent. Long after the pig trial, the McCoy shot to death the juror who had sided with the Hatfields. After that, tensions remained high among the two families. The McCoy brothers, armed with knives, stabbed Ellison more than 20 times and shot him. Bleeding profusely but still alive, they brought Ellison back here to this log cabin. Sarah McCoy pleaded with the Hatfields to spare her 3 sons. But Devil Ance had already made a promise.
If Ellison dies, I'm going to kill the McCoy boys.
2 days later, Ellison Hatfield died. That's when Devil Ance and his posse found the 3 McCoy brothers and brought them here, tied them to some bushes, blindfolded them, asked them if they had any final words, and then shot them in retaliation for his brother's death.
Now, they both fought for the South in the Civil War. This guy here is Asa Harmon McCoy. He was a brother to Randall McCoy.
Gotcha.
Now, he fought for the North in the Civil War. Now, Asa got wounded in 1864 at the end of the Civil War, and they sent him home to heal up. And Asa, they harassed him so much, he got afraid. He had a wife and 2 children at home, and he was afraid they was going to get harmed. So Asa went and hid out in this cave. Now, even though Asa fought for the North, all my research it reveals he's the only person in that Blackberry Creek area around, that area that ever owned slaves. And his slaves would bring him food every day, whatever he needed, to this cave. Well, in January of 1865, the Hatfields got wind that he was doing this. So they tracked his slave through the snow and found out where Asa was hiding, and they killed Asa in the mouth of this cave here. And that was the beginning of the Hatfield McCoy feud, by the killing of Randall's brother Asa. That's how the feud started.
So this was before the hog trial.
Absolutely. The hog trial was in 1878. Okay. This was at the end of the Civil War in 1865. This man permission to cross over the ridge onto our property and come down Blackberry Creek, to come down the holler, and that kept him from having to walk all the way to Make One, all the way down around the river, about 12 miles back up to Blackberry.
Wow.
And my dad actually remembered this old man. He said this was the scariest old man he ever seen, but he was a real nice old man, never bothered nobody. And he just walked down there and holler, and he was on Blackberry. So anyhow, that's a little background on this. This is his wife, Elizabeth. This is his wife, Elizabeth, when she was a very young woman here.
Okay.
This is some of the Hatfields and McCoys here, and they're all labeled who they are. My mom and dad, Rainey and Myrtle. Daddy was a coal miner and a United Baptist preacher for 50 years. Mom was a homemaker. She raised 9 of us children, had 10, she lost 1. This is my grandpa Allen and grandma Hardy. This was my dad's parents. Before grandpa married dad's mommy, Hulda, he was married to this lady here, and her name was Kentucky Hatfield. This may be the only picture that even survived of Kentucky. From history, I think I'm the only one that's got that picture.
Wow.
She was the daughter of Battle Ice Hatfield, who was a first cousin to Devil Anse Hatfield. And the Election Day fight is actually started because of her daddy. Ellison was taken up for him because the McCoy boys were jumping on Battle Ice because he owed them $15 on the fiddle. That's how the whole fight got started. This is my, well, let me finish up. She died at giving childbirth in 1907. And after she passed away, Grandpa married my dad's mother, my grandma Hardy. So, this is my great-grandfather, McGinnis Hatfield. He married Octavia McCoy back during the feud. They was a Hatfield McCoy that married during the feud. This is my grandpa when he was 1 year old. It's old man here. This is my great-grandmother's sisters here. This picture was taken in 1882. Now, of course, this is Randall and Rosanna. This is my grandpa's sister and her husband, Mr. Clay, who was a school teacher back then. This is a map of how the land was laid out up there back in the old days. You had the Tug River running through here. You had Pike County, Kentucky on this side, Logan County, West Virginia over here. Devil Anse lived over in Logan County. Randall McCoy lived over here on the Pike County side of Kentucky. This is a book that I wrote along with my friend Fred McCoy. I'm a retired police officer. I worked when I was working for the Pike County Sheriff's Department. I hired Fred as my detective. Him and I grew up together and worked together, and we're the only Hatfield McCoy to ever write a book together. And it's called Righting Wrongs. This is me when I was 20 years old in these 3 pictures in 1976. This was at Devil Anse's monument. This was at my grandpa's old home place. That's behind my home place. And we actually restored that. That's the oldest house on Blackberry Creek now. Great-grandfather, grandma, all their old family heirlooms in it. This is my grandpa's old bank books from way back. This is actually a ticket when my mother went to the Mammoth Cave in 1938.
Wow.
This purse here belonged to my grandfather. That money that's in it right there was in it when he passed away in 1975. I just put it away and kept it all these years for my museum.
Yeah, see, and it had nickel in it.
The old coin there, it's got the moon shaped in it. That was what it's called script. That was a coin that the coal companies paid the miners.
Right.
And the only place they could spend it was
a company store.
The company store. These old tintype pictures are from around 1887, 88. That's actually my grandfather and his sister in the pictures. Grandpa's old pocket watch, an old Zebco reel he had. And my grandfather's old Allen's old family Bible from 1876. My great-grandfather's reading glasses, McGinnis's. That's just an old jewelry box I made for my mother back before he passed away. The Coke bottles are actually Hatfield McCoy Coke bottles. The 2 old hats back there was my grandma's from the late 1800s. This is just some little trinkets that Grandpa had. And now this piece of script here belonged to my dad. And those are some of their little trinkets and things that they had. Or the date on it.
So that belonged to Allen Hatfield.
You know, well, it was, yeah, and his daddy gave it to him, McGinnis, and McGinnis's daddy Ephraim gave it to him, and so forth. It's just some old hunting knives. That was the first hunting knife that my mother bought me when I was 7, 8 years old. So used in the Civil War and also the Hatfield McCoy Feud. It's an 1861 gun.
Yeah.
And the back gun's an old World War I gun that he owned. It has no feud history, you know, but it belonged to him. Even the old cats over there in the Green family, you know, Devil Anse and Levice and their children, grandchildren, a couple of the workers and stuff. This is Devil Anse Hatfield's daddy, Ephraim Hatfield. They called him Big E. The bottom picture is Sid Hatfield. Sid was actually the police chief in Make-One during the 1920 mine wars. Had to shoot out on the streets of Make-One with the Baldwin Phelps detectives when they killed the mayor of Make-One, and he killed 2 of the Baldwin Phelps detectives. Remington rifle. Actually, my sister donated this to the museum. It's not Feud related, but it's, you know. This old map come out of my grandpa's old house. It's 1940. It's actually a tourist map of Kentucky. It's got like Abraham Lincoln's birthplace, the Mammoth Cave, anything to do with tourism.
Right.
This is my family's items, 90% of them that's been passed down through the years. There is a couple pieces on here that was donated, like the old hog shave and the spoke shave. Those were donated. This piece here, this is a step off of one of the old 1800s wagons.
Yeah.
And that actually came off of Devil Anse Hatfield's wagon. I got that off of Stephen Hatfield. And then, you know, coffee grinder, meat smoker. Oh, that's all right.
I touched it.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, well I can say I've touched
Oh, okay.
Hatfield's buggy step.
All right. What we did, like I say, Fred and I grew up together, worked together. So I put my picture here and Devil Anse is here. And this is Fred and Randall. And then on the back, what we did, we put our 5-year-old pictures. And then this was 50 years later when we wrote the book together.
Wow.
So like I said, we grew up together and everything. This is his wife, Levice, when she was a young woman. And this is her when she was older. Anyhow, it's him and all his family and different ones of the Hatfields around. I put the McCoys over on that wall over there. Hatfield's old home place. I blew it up from a little small picture. And I didn't realize it until I blew it up, but Preacher Anderson Hatfield's son, Ransom Hatfield, was actually standing on the steps there. And I remember him when I was just a little kid. What they did, they tore this down and they built it back as good as they could to what it was. That's where the girl was standing doing the video. They numbered these rocks, took them down and put them back exactly the way they are in this picture right here. Down here is Bad Frank Phillips. After Jonesy Hatfield and Nancy divorced, she married Frank, and this is a copy of their marriage bond. They're actually buried beside of each other up in Phelps, Kentucky. And Bad Frank was a deputy sheriff for Pike County back then, and he was also a hard bounty hunter for the McCoy family, and he is actually the one that killed Devil Anse's uncle, Jim Vance. This is him again. This is Devil Anse on his horse Fred. This is Ellison. Back when posing with these guns from the Civil War. That's a replica gun. That's not that actual gun. This is a peace treaty that Fred and I done when we were 12 years old back in '72, just as a joke, playing on the basketball court. And that's another picture of, you know, the Hatfield family and stuff. This is Willis Hatfield, Devil Anse's youngest son. He was a lawman in Logan County, West Virginia, and this is the actual baton that he carried. This is a Feud gun. This was Frank Phillips' gun, possibly the gun that killed Jim Vance. It's called a pepper box. And it actually, you're supposed to shoot and turn, every time you shoot it, the barrel turns. But more times than not, it would get a flash back there and it would shoot them all. That's why they call it. Yeah. This is a great piece I got from Devil Anse's great grandson. This is the actual bit and reins that Devil Anse used on his horse. This old spring down here looks like a piece of junk, but I got this from an old preacher man, Basil Hatfield, back in the 70s. This spring actually came off from 1882, came off the wagon that they was hauling the McCoy boys to jail when Devil Anse took them away from them and took them down to the schoolhouse and then tied them to the pawpaw bushes and killed them. Some of the boys and the workers over and told them to kill the whole family. That was his idea of how to end this feud. And so they did. Jim Vance and them went over and they set Randall's house on fire. Randall ran out the back door and escaped, hid in the corn crib. And then as the children ran out, Calvin, I think, come out first, they shot and killed him. Alifair came out and they shot and killed her. And then Jim Vance beat Sarah and left her for dead. She survived though, but she was never right after that beating she took. The original picture up there. Now they wouldn't let me take that picture out of the frame to copy it. So I had to take a picture of it and have this made. But this is from the original. This is the actual handcuffs they had on him that come from Bad Frank Phillips, he confiscated those and gave them to Randall McCoy, and I bought these from the McCoy Museum. These are the actual handcuffs they had on this boy.
Yeah.
This is actually a piece of the rope that they hung him with. That's not the piece that was around his neck now. It's been confirmed through history and everything that the McCoy family did attend the hanging of Cottontop Mountains. And even in the original picture, you can see the people lined up on the mountainside there.
Right.
This is the McCoy family at the hanging. Now, if you notice all the women in these pictures, they have these black bonnets on. See them?
Yeah.
Dotted all through here. Them's called mourning bonnets.
Right.
And back then, that's what they wore to funerals and such as this. Now, it's confirmed, there's no discussion or debate on this is definitely Randall McCoy right here. Now, I'm 98% sure that this is the woman here in the black bonnet sitting beside of Randall McCoy is probably Cheraw. Randall McCoy's brother.
Yeah.
Okay. To this day, nobody knows where he's buried. They've never found his grave, and they don't know where this cave is. They know he was killed in this area somewhere because they put this historical marker there.
Right.
Now, I actually found his gravesite. He's buried on our property up in Pike County. And it's not too far from that. So they got pretty close. When I found the rock, now this don't mean this was Asa, okay?
Yeah.
The whole story, you put it together and you decide what is him. The rock I found was just an old sand rock on the backside. And it had an A and it had half the S on it. The other A was gone. And the McCoy was plain though. The whole McCoy name was there. Now, like I say, this is a short distance to where that there is. So when I found his grave, and thinking that was probably him, and I knew that was there, I also knew this cave was on our property. Been there for years. What it is, it's not like the Mammoth Cave, it's a coal bank. Over the years, families dug coal out of the side of the mountains to heat their homes.
Right.
And probably for over 200 years. And so
the story was that he hid out in the cave.
Yeah.
And he was also a Northern soldier.
Right.
So there you found a Northern bullet.
You got the
Northern button.
You got the northern button, the north belt buckle.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
The coins were 1862, 1863.
Yeah, that fits.
It just all adds up.
Well, if you're an investigator, and you were.
Yeah. But this part was built in 1898.
So this was built in 1898. Was it right here?
Yes. Yeah.
Ah.
And then it was added on to back here. Let me get the door open. Try to. Act like it's still 1898 or something. There it is. Come on in. This is just like I say, this was the one room cabin right here. That was the back wall. This was all it was. Had a window and a door over here, you know, to open it up to the windows. And Sharon and I, my wife, we put this old 1800s phonograph machine in here. You know, just raises up and you put the phonograph on and you crank it up. So we got some really neat antiques in here. This came out of the bus station over in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's in like the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
My wife set up a little coffee bar here. She serves all her sweets over there. She makes cupcakes, homemade fudge, homemade cookies, brownies, that type of stuff. This piece here actually came out of President Ford's office in Washington, D.C. when he was president. This is all made out of pewter. It's just like a little theme park. This actually got a motor on it and it turns. This is a little story on it here.
Yeah, and how'd you wind up with this?
Now we got this at a show out in Las Vegas in 2008.
Okay, well, I have really enjoyed our visit here to the Hatfield and McCoy Museum, and also have enjoyed meeting my new friend, Paul Hatfield. Paul, tell us a little bit about your museum.
Well, I opened my museum down here in 2019. This is our third year. We didn't get open last year for COVID, so we're just getting started back open. Crowds is coming in, the people starting to get out, and they're tired of the COVID just like I am. So we've had good crowds, open 7 days a week now, from 10 o'clock in the morning till 7 in the evenings. We're the #1 attraction in Cave City, Kentucky now, and along with my wife's bakery, which is next door. It's called the Sugar Shack. So I'd like for everybody to come by, check it out. I have over 850 artifacts from the Hatfield McCoy feud inside my museum. It's the largest Hatfield McCoy museum that there is.
That is cool, and there's some really neat stuff in there. So if you're ever up in the western part of Kentucky, is this still the western part?
Yeah, we're 7 miles from the Mammoth Cave National Park.
Yeah, if you're ever up this way, you just need to stop by and check it out. It's really cool. You know, a while back I did a video on the Hatfield McCoys, and this is just going to add to it, make it even better. Anyway, I want to thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, give me a big old thumbs up. Be sure to tell your family and friends and share with them. But for now, y'all have a good day.